My name is Rajab Butt, and I am a family vlogger. I make family vlogs and share my daily life. I show my mother, my sister, and my daughters in my videos, and this is how I earn money. There is a lot of responsibility on me, and sometimes it becomes very stressful.
Watch the full story end.
Rajab Butt is screaming, but no one can hear him. Not his viewers, not his followers, not the millions who once watched his videos. Because Rajab Beauty's no longer in the world of likes and comments, he is in the grave. The earth presses against his chest, not violently, but slowly, as if it is all the time in the world that a voice echoes in the darkness. Rajab Butt, you said you did not support family vlogging. Silence. Then the voice continues. So why did you turn your mother into content? Why did you turn your sisters into thumbnails? Rajab tries to speak. His lips tremble, his throat burns. Images appear around him. Videos, clips, smiling faces frozen in time, that a camera pointed at a home that was never meant to be shown. The voice returns, heavier now. You earned money by exposing what I commanded you to protect. The grave tightens that Rajab's bones shake. And then comes the sentence that shatters what remains of his soul. Today, Rajab Butt, you will be treated the same way you treated their dignity. Darkness closes in, and this is not a warning that it is the punishment. This is the story of Rajab Butt, a man who claimed morality, but sold privacy, a man who denied family vlogging, yet built his success on it. And what happened to him after death is something every content creator needs to hear. Backhand index pointing right, don't skip this video, because this story might be about him. But the warning is for you. The man everyone trusted, Rajab Butt, was not born a bad man. In fact, for most of his life, people considered him respectable. He prayed, he spoke softly, he used religious words often, not loudly, not aggressively, but just enough to sound sincere. When social media entered his life, Rajab Butt didn't jump in immediately. He watched others first. Family vloggers, daily routine videos, private homes turned into public stages, and he used to say, I don't like this trend. Family vlogging destroys modesty. Islam teaches us to protect our homes. People nodded. They trusted him. That trust would later become the foundation of his success. At first, Rajab only recorded himself. Short clips, motivational talks, daily thoughts, a phone, a plain wall, no drama. But real life doesn't stay outside the frame for long. One day, his mother's voice was heard in the background. She was calling him for food. Rajab hesitated. He could have stopped recording, but he didn't. The video was uploaded, and something unexpected happened. That video got more views than anything he had posted before. The comments were different this time. Your mother sounds so loving. Such a pure household. This feels real. Rajab read them again and again. For the first time, his heart felt something dangerous. Validation. Slowly, unintentionally, or so he told himself. His family began appearing more, a blurred figure walking past, a laugh from another room, a conversation not meant for strangers. Nothing haram, he convinced himself. Just life, just reality. But reality has boundaries. And those boundaries were quietly disappearing. Rajab noticed something else too. Whenever his family appeared, the numbers changed. Views increased. Subscribers grew faster. Messages started coming in. Brands showed interest. Money followed attention, and attention followed exposure. Rajab didn't say it out loud, but his content had found its formula. His home, his family, their privacy. He told himself, I'm not forcing anyone. They know I'm recording. This is my house. But knowing is not the same as understanding. Comfort is not consent, and Islam does not bend for algorithms. The camera that once faced him now slowly turned outward, towards the living room, towards daily routines, towards moments meant only for family. His mother adjusted her dupatta. The camera was already on. His sister passed by. The lens followed without intention, yet without shame. And Rajab Butt, he noticed that he always noticed. But he noticed something else more. The views that night, alone with his phone, he scrolled through comments, praise, love, respect, and buried among them, warnings. Brother, be careful. Protect your family. This isn't right. Rajab ignored those. Warnings don't feel real when success feels louder. He whispered to himself. I know my limits. But limits aren't crossed in one step. They're crossed one excuse at a time. And Rajab Butt had just taken his first step. What Rajab didn't realize was that every video he uploaded was not just being watched by people. It was being recorded somewhere else, for a day when there would be no camera. Only questions, and no chancito edit the answers. Rajab but still told people he didn't support family vlogging, and technically, he was telling the truth. He never stood in front of the camera and said, "This is my mother. This is my sister." He didn't need to, because the camera had learned the house by itself. At first, it was accidental. A reflection in a mirror, footsteps behind him. A laugh caught mid-sentence. But accidents don't repeat themselves this perfectly. Rajab began to anticipate moments. If his mother was cooking, he kept recording. If his sisters were talking, he didn't pause the camera. He told himself, "I'm not focusing on them. They're just in the background." But the background was becoming the main attraction. Something strange started happening. Rajab noticed that videos without family presence felt empty. They didn't perform the same. The comments were quieter, the numbers slower. But the moment his home felt alive, the algorithm woke up. People didn't say it directly, but their behavior did. They stayed longer, they rewatched, they shared. And Rajab noticed, he always noticed. Soon, the camera stopped being handheld. It was placed at carefully at angles that showed more of the room, more of the life inside it. The phone leaned against cups, against shelves, against walls, always recording, always watching. The house was no longer a home. It was a set. Rajab's mother once asked casually, "Is the camera on?" Rajab smiled and replied, "Just ignore it. Ignore it as if being watched by strangers was something you could forget, as if privacy could be switched off with comfort." Money began to change things, not loudly, quietly. Better phones, better lighting, longer recordings. Brands didn't ask for him alone anymore. They said, "We love the family vibe." Family vibe. A softer word for exposure. Rajab accepted that. He told himself, "This money helps the house. I'm providing." Intentions matter, but intentions don't erase consequences, and providing doesn't justify exposing. There were moments when Rajab felt uncomfortable, very brief moments, like when a comment read, "Your sister looks beautiful," or when strangers recognized his mother from a video. Those moments hurt, but pain is easy to silence when success is loud. Rajab closed the app and pressed record again. He stopped asking permission, not because he was cruel, but because asking slowed things down, and content doesn't wait. Life had to happen on schedule now. Family dinners were delayed. Conversations restarted. Say that again. Wait, I wasn't recording. Moments were no longer lived. They were captured. Late at night, Rajab scrolled through his phone. Not content anymore. Analytics, watch time, retention, growth. Numbers replaced reflection, and every number going up pushed his conscience further down. Still, the warnings didn't stop. Messages, comments, private advice. "Brother, this is dangerous. Fear Allah. Protect what he entrusted you." Rajab read them, and then dismissed them. They don't understand. They're extreme. This is normal now. Normal. That word has destroyed more souls than sin ever did. Rajab but didn't realize when exactly the line was crossed. Because it wasn't crossed, it faded, slowly. Until one day, there was no line left at all. Only a camera, only content, only applause. What Rajab didn't know was that while he was studying how long people watched his videos, someone else was recording everything. Every moment, every excuse, every silence. For a time when there would be no views, only judgment, and no oneto scroll past it. Success changes people, not all at once, not dramatically. It changes the way they listen. Rajab but was now successful, at least by the world's standards. His numbers were strong, his audience loyal, his income stable, and success gave him something dangerous: confidence in his own judgment. Whenever someone questioned him, Rajab didn't get angry. That he got logical. That he explained. That he justified. That he said things like, "I don't show anything inappropriate. My family is respected. People misunderstand my content." And people believed him because he sounded calm, reasonable, educated. Truth doesn't always lose to lies. Sometimes it loses to confidence. Rajab began responding to criticism publicly, not harshly, not arrogantly, but cleverly. He used religious language, selective verses, selective hadith, enough to silence doubt, not enough to reflect truth. That he would say, "Islam is about intention. My intention is clean. Allah knows my heart." And that was the sentence that ended every discussion. Because once someone claims Allah is on their side, who dares to argue? But deep inside, Rajab wasn't as calm as he appeared. Late at night, when the house slept, his phone glowed quietly in his hands. He reread certain messages, not the praise, the warnings. "Brother, this path is dangerous. One day you'll regret this. Fear the day you stand alone. Those messages stayed longer, but he never replied, because replying meant acknowledging, and acknowledging meant doubt. Some warnings came closer to home. An elder relative once said gently, "You're opening doors that shouldn't be opened." Rajab smiled respectfully, but inside, he felt offended. They don't understand social media. They're stuck in the past. He confused experience with ignorance and paid no attention. Even his family felt the change, not in words, but in atmosphere. Silences grew longer. Comfort grew thinner. His mother once said, "People recognize me now." She didn't sound proud. Rajab laughed it off. That means they like us. He didn't ask why they recognized her. He didn't want the answer. The more warnings he received, the better his justifications became. He started believing his own arguments. That's when it became dangerous, because a lie repeated enough times stops sounding like it becomes identity. Rajab began drawing comparisons. Others do far worse. At least I'm not vulgar. At least I'm respectful. He forgot a simple truth. Being better than the worst does not make you right. Then came the turning point. A video went viral. More than anything before, it showed nothing dramatic. Just family. Just routine. Just exposure. Normalized. The comments exploded. So did the money. That night, Rajab made a decision. Not out loud. Not consciously. But firmly, he chose growth over guidance. From that day on, warnings became noise, and justifications became armor. That he no longer asked, "Is this right?" He asked, "Will this perform?" And that single question changed everything. Rajab Butt believed it had outsmarted criticism. He believed religion was on his side. He believed success was proof. But he forgot one thing. Allah does not warn forever. Sometimes he waits. And when the warning ends, the consequences begin. Death did not announce itself to Rajab Butt. There were no signs to no warnings to no dramatic final message. Just a normal day. Rajab woke up that morning like he always did. He checked his phone before his prayers, notifications, comments, numbers. Another video was performing well. He smiled. Success had become routine. The house was quiet, too quiet. His mother was in the other room. His sisters were busy with their day. Life continued. Unaware that it was approaching its final pause, Rajab picked up his phone, but he thought about recording something. Just a short clip. Just a moment. But this time, he never pressed record. There was no pain at first. Just a strange heaviness. A sudden stillness. If the world had muted itself. Rajab tried to stand. His body didn't respond. The phone slipped from his hand and hit the floor. The screen cracked. And so did the connection between him and the world. Time moved on. Minutes passed. Then panic. His mother's voice. Calling his name. Once. Twice. No answer. The door opened. And everything changed. People gathered. Voices overlapped. Someone shouted for help. Someone prayed. But Rajab Butt was already gone. The body remained. The soul did not. News spread fast. Social media did what it does best. Videos were shared. Old clips reposted. Comments flooded in. He was such a good man. May Allah grant him Jannah. He inspired so many. The irony went unnoticed, because death silences truth for a moment. His phone lay on the table, unlocked. Notifications still coming, but Rajab would never see them. The account remained active. The views kept increasing, but the owner was now facing something far greater than an algorithm. The janazah was prayed. Rows of people stood shoulder to shoulder. Some cried genuinely. Some came out of curiosity. No one spoke about content. No one mentioned exposure, because death cleans reputations in the eyes of people. But not in the sight of Allah. The grave was prepared. The world felt distant. Rajab's body was lowered gently. Hands that once held a camera now lay still. Eyes that once chased views were closed forever. Soil touched his chest, and for the first time, Rajab Butt was completely alone. The last footsteps faded, voices disappeared, and silence returned. But this silence was different. It was alive. Rajab became aware, not gradually, instantly. The darkness was thick, heavy. He tried to move, couldn't. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. Then, a pressure, not crushing yet, just enough to make him understand. This was real. There were no screens here, no followers, no justifications. Only memory and accountability. Rajab realized something terrifying. Death had come at the exact moment he thought he had time. Rajab Butt believed death would come after one last warning, one last chance, one last apology. But death came silently. And now, the questions were about to begin. And unlike comments, these questions could not be ignored. Rajab Butt thought silence meant peace. He was wrong. The moment the last footsteps faded, the grave changed. The air grew heavy. The darkness thickened. It was no longer empty. It was aware. Rajab tried to move. He couldn't lift his hands. He couldn't turn his head. The space around him felt tighter, not crushing yet, but warning him. Then it began. A presence filled the grave, not visible, but undeniable, and a voice spoke, not loud, not angry, but so powerful that Rajab felt it inside his bones. Rajab Butt, his name, spoken with certainty, no titles, no followers, just the name he would carry into eternity. You knew what was commanded, and you knew what you chose. Rajab tried to respond. Words formed in his mind, but died before reaching his lips, because this was not a place for explanations. The grave began to close in, slowly. The walls moved, not violently, but deliberately, as if the earth itself was following an order. Rajab felt pressure on his chest. Breathing became difficult. Panic surged. Then the images appeared, not on a screen. Inside him, clear, sharp, undeniable. Videos, clips, moments he had forgotten. A camera placed quietly. A laugh captured without permission. A private moment turned public. His mother's voice, his sister's presence, frozen, watching him. The voice returned. Did I not command you to protect? Did I not honor modesty? Rajab's heart trembled. He wanted to say, I didn't force anyone. My intentions were clean. I was providing. But intentions mean nothing when commands are broken. Then something unbearable happened. Those he had exposed stood as witnesses, not physically, but spiritually. Their dignity, now evidence. Their privacy, now testimony. Rajab realized the truth. What he called content was now a charge against him. The pressure increased. The grave tightened. Pain unlike anything he had known spread through his body. Not sharp, not sudden, slow. Relentless. A punishment designed not to kill, but to remind. The voice spoke. Again, this time, heavier. You loved attention. You loved being watched. The darkness leaned closer. So now, you will feel what it is to be exposed. Rajab felt fear strip him bare. No hiding. No filters. No edits. Everything he ever tried to justify stood naked before truth. He tried to scream. The sound never left his mouth. The grave answered instead, squeezing, pressing, teaching. Rajab understood now. The likes were gone. The money meaningless. The fame irrelevant. Only deeds remained, and among them, videos that never should have existed. Rajab Butt finally understood, not intellectually, not theoretically, but painfully, the kind of understanding that doesn't come with relief. Only regret. In the grave, time felt different. There were no days, no nights. Only awareness and memory. Rajab replayed his life without a screen, without edits, without background music. He saw every moment. He chose convenience over courage. Every second could have stopped recording, but didn't. He remembered the hesitation, the brief discomfort, the small voice that said, this isn't right. And how easily he had silenced it with logic, with money, with applause. Rajab realized something terrifying. He had not fallen suddenly. He had walked into this point one excuse at a time, but he thought about the things that once mattered to him. Respect, faith, honor, and how quietly they had been replaced by engagement, reach, growth. Words that sound harmless, until they become gods. For the first time, Rajab felt true loneliness. Not the loneliness of being unseen, but the loneliness of being seen for exactly who he was. That no audience, no supporters, no one to agree with him. Only truth. He wanted one thing. Just one. A return. A chance. A moment back. Put the phone down. Protect what was entrusted to him. Choose all over attention. But regret does not open doors. It only shows you the ones you closed yourself. The realization burned. Not like fire, like shame. A constant, heavy presence that pressed harder than the grave itself. Rajab understood now. The worst punishment was not the pain. It was knowing had traded eternity for seconds of approval. And then, the realization settled. There would be no ending here. No fade to black. Only continuation. Of consequences. This is not just Rajab Butt's story. It is a mirror for anyone who turns private lives into public property, for anyone who confuses intention with permission, for anyone who says, everyone does it. The camera is not neutral. It takes. It exposes, and once something is shown, it can never be taken back. Islam does not ask us to be invisible. It asks us to be responsible. There is a difference between sharing life and selling dignity. Ask yourself, If your phone was taken away today, what would remain? Deeds or deleted drafts? Because the world forgives quickly. Audiences move on. Trends change. But the grave remembers everything. Rajab, but believe it had time.so does everyone. Until they don't. Turn the camera off before it turns on you. Protect what Allah trusted you with. Because views disappear, but accountability does not. This story ends here, but the lesson does not. Rajab but finally realized what no warning had been able to teach him. The grave is not a place of stories. It is a place of results. And his results had only just begun.